Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Pixel. We're going to be talking about the Xbox Games Showcase. We're going to be giving our individual opinions on what we liked and disliked about the showcase and what we've seen from the event that was streamed on the Xbox channel on twitch.tv/Xbox.
One thing to keep in mind, we did stream this as well on YouTube, live with our reactions real time. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check that out. That might be something that we're doing more often in the future as well.
Yeah, hopefully with less errors and problems from my end next time.
Doubt.
Alright. I've got no sound on it now. Oh, now what's going on?
Enjoyed your first look
No!
at its campaign.
You're not good at this.
The team at 3 share
What's going on now?
epic battles that await you on the next chapter. Take full
I
advantage.
swear this all worked
of
before
resources.
I did this
Bigger
live.
battles, epic victories,
Liar.
visual effects,
Doubt.
with 10 times.
Alright, so one of the first things we saw in the showcase today was Halo Infinite.
Spartan, we thought you dead. It is there.
Yeah, we saw lots of new things. There was pretty graphics, open world, shiny new weapons. But overall, my thoughts were pretty positive. We got to see a lot of new things. Of course, Halo is always very story-driven, so this one it seems like they're trying to branch off a little bit and try and make a giant, lovely open world, which could have, two sides to, could be a double-edged sword. So, open worlds sometimes tend to make the story suffer, and I don't think that's an option with Halo. Halo's always very much been story-driven, and they can't really let that suffer. The game itself looked very pretty, and we got to see some new shiny weapons that they started teased about there, and some new animations like your shield recharging and stuff, and it all looks very good. I haven't been a hardcore Halo player since like Halo 3, so I'm not like super hyped about it. That might be more in Jenkins' ball court, but I definitely got some good impressions from it. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. The grappling hook, I reckon, would be quite good for it. Add a bit more mechanics to it. Notice as well as I think there were some aerial enemies, which we haven't really seen much of in the Halo franchise. So that'll be add a little bit of verticality to it, rather than just the normal 360 degrees combat that you normally get in these kind of shooter games. But again, yeah, like Abyss said, it's story driven, so it'll be interesting to see where the story is. I haven't personally played 5 yet, but I will be jumping on that as soon as I can as well, to try and catch up with the story.
It looks good. It looks like, from my standpoint, as an outsider, it kind of looks like they're trying to reboot the franchise a little bit back to its glory days of Halo 2 when it was really big in the gaming industry. Like the artwork for Infinite matches Halo Combat Evolved, like they're almost the same. So it looks like they're gonna try and kind of reboot it from my perspective. So I'm kind of interested. If it was just another Halo game, I probably wouldn't, but they're putting quite a lot of resources behind this one by the looks of it. So yeah,
It looks like there's going to be a good amount of production value coming out of it. That's for sure.
Okay, next up we had State of Decay 3. Right, State of Decay 3. Who's interested in it?
Look, I'm interested. I enjoyed the previous State of Decays. Number 1 was definitely better than number 2, and I'm hopefully seeing that they, bring back some of their roots from 1. But hopefully they don't disappoint, because they did that with 2, especially on launch. We'll see.
Yeah, the bugs on launch, like the doors. Remember the door, the flickering door, would like slam and open like really fast, rapidly.
And then
For
you
no
would
reason,
see
it's
shit
like a
that I
possessed
wouldn't. My base was built
Oh,
for me,
God.
but not for you. You didn't see like anything. It's a fucking mess.
It was bad. It was really bad. That can't happen again. They will not get away with that again.
No,
I
definitely.
mean, I like State of Decay 3, but I think the problem is State of Decay 1 was so good. Everyone wanted the sequel. And State of Decay 2 was so average at best. I don't really know if there's that much cool for a third. I don't really know if people going, oh, I really want another one,
I'm not hooing, but I like the style of the games, so I'd probably end up playing it.
I'll have a looky if it's on Game Pass. Well, it will be in Game Pass, but I'll have a looky because it's on Game Pass. But I wouldn't say
It's
like
free anyway.
it's going to be one of those where I need to get it. You know, I'll have a look at it because it's there, but I wouldn't say I'm hyped about it.
I have no idea what it is. I have no interest in it, and it's just a game.
It's a
just
zombie
another game.
shooter where you kind of build a shelter and survive.
So Daisy.
I mean, we were saying in the live stream before, me and Abyss had a bit of a debate about number 2 and why it wasn't as good for me, but was good for Abyss. But from the first one, it was open, but it had a story. You kind of followed the story around. And the second one, they kind of lost that a little bit. It was more just you're in the sandbox, do with it what you will. But for me, I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know what was in the sandbox. I wasn't really interested in finding out. I just wanted to be guided through the sandbox and let me run off and explore every now and again. But
I like
kind of
sandboxes,
wished.
so
Yeah. I mean, you were saying earlier that you like that they innovate, and it's good that they innovate, right?
So yeah, State of Decay 1 was very, story driven, pretty linear, and State of Decay 2 kind of tried to build off the gameplay systems that were on there and tried to expand on them, because in State of Decay 1 it was only one map, you only had one team, and in State of Decay 2, they had multiple different maps, multiple different community pairings, and different things like that. It was very much more expansive in terms of gameplay itself, but it kind of, like you said, it was just very sandboxy. So I commend them for trying to add new things and build on what they were trying to introduce in the first game. It's sometimes difficult to try and innovate a game into a different type of gameplay line, but I think they did a pretty good job with the gameplay itself. It just kind of didn't have focus, but I enjoyed it overall, though.
I don't know. It just wasn't. It didn't kind of hit the same notes as State of Decay 1 did, so I'm a little bit unsure with State of Decay 3 and how that's going to kind of go forward with it, really. Hopefully they'll take a back step with it, not in the a bad sense of the word, but in kind of getting back to the roots with it, really, instead of kind of trying to go on further of what 2 did. I don't think 2 did particularly well.
I think it just needs more focus, and it should be good overall. Better line to travel.
Bring the 2 closer together.
It's
for number 3,
make
rather
it
than go one way or the
cohesive.
other.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we had from Rare Limited, makers of Sea of Thieves and way back in the day Banjo-Kazooie, something called Everworld.
Our world has a rhythm. We all sense it. But only a few truly feel it.
I honestly didn't really understand fully what was going on about it, in all honesty. It kind of looked more like a bit of a... Well, they didn't show any gameplay, so we don't really know fully on what kind of game it's going to be. If it's going to be like an exploration or a puzzle game or anything like that. It's didn't really show anything, so I'm not really sure what to take away from the trailer, honestly.
Yeah, there was some hardcore teasing. They were doing some weird dance around a dead deer, and then the stars lit up with another glowing giant deer, and then the dead deer came to life and it jogged. Like, it was some weird shit that we have no idea, because we have no context, we have no idea about the gameplay itself. Just straight up raw teaser. So kind of hard to get a judgment feeling on that. So.
See, this is where I differ. From watching the trailer that was presented, it reminded me a lot of a game called Rime. I'm not sure if any of you has ever heard of Rime. It is a single-player game that was released a couple of years ago that is beautiful. There's no voice acting. There's no navigation throughout the level. You basically are dropped into a world and you have to navigate it. And there's puzzles to solve. There's animals that are alive, and there's waterfalls, and there's beautiful scenery throughout this whole game, but there's not one bit of voice acting. I think it's going to take the same lines as that. There's going to be no voice acting. It's all going to be through the actions of the NPCs and yourself throughout the quest. That's why there was no real voice animation in it. So taking that same narrative, yeah. So it'll be a visual storytelling. Yeah, it'll be really good. If you haven't seen Rime yourself, it's a beautiful story. If it does go along the lines, it will be a very beautiful experience to play. It won't be story heavy, but you'll be able to perceive your own story and theories of what's actually happening as you're playing it, which sparks a lot of intrigue for a player like me that enjoys something like that.
So from my standpoint, it's made by Rare. They did well with Sea of Thieves. It's not the greatest at the start, but it's got there over time. They've shown they can listen to their community and they can adapt and improve and make a game become great later on. It's doing very well at the moment. It's just come onto Steam and it's now hit massive milestone for player counts. Something like 15 million, I think I saw the other day. I could be wrong, but it's doing really well now. So I think I got some faith in Rare for doing the new IP, but it is a new IP at the end of the day. So what it will be like, we don't know until we see it, I suppose.
Next up was the trailer for the expansion for the Outer Worlds Peril of Gorgon, which looks really interesting, especially adding more content to the Outer Worlds that are already had.
From the furthest reaches of the universe comes the biggest mystery in the galaxy.
An abandoned research facility, and now shady corporate intrigue.
Marvel of the Gorgon asteroid.
My experience with the Outer Worlds was really, really good. It was fun, it was entertaining, it was brilliant. It was a different experience from the typical Fallout New Vegas, in which it's compared to. Obviously, it's a space variant, so there's many differences, but coming from that experience, that team is brilliant. I really enjoyed the game overall anyway, but the DLC looked fun. It looks like they're going to add a lot of new things to it. It kind of reminds me of something that the Witcher did. You know, they brought the Blood and the Wine expansion, but it was like a whole new area, and it was massive. It was like adding on a second game to the Witcher that was already there. So that's what's really intriguing me. If they go that route, I might actually pick that up and play it. If it's a small DLC, I don't know. I'll see what the reviews of it are.
I feel like it's trying to go along with that extra Fallout vibe where here's a brand new area, here's some brand new story, go explore this new chunk of the universe. And I think that's great for a Fallout style game, especially one in space where, you know, you have infinite worlds to kind of just expand upon. So definitely looking forward to it as well.
I've got Outer Worlds on the Game Pass. The problem is, I think for me, Outer Worlds came out at the same time as a lot of other games came out. So it kind of fell off the shelf for me a little bit, so I didn't really play much of it. But if it's some DLC and it's a bit quiet now, I've locked down everything going on, I can probably jump back into it and try it. But I thought Outer Worlds looked really good, so if there's more to it, why not?
There's a speed run for like 12 minutes, which is pretty gross, because the game is like 30 hours long.
Yeah.
But it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so next up we had a trailer for Grounded.
If you're waiting for the biggest game of the year, then wait for Cyberpunk. But if you're ready for the smallest, we've got you covered. From Obsidian Entertainment, the makers of games that are nothing like this one. This summer, strive together to thrive together. Or just feed your friend to the spiders and go solo.
A survival-esque, kind of a bit like State of Decay, I believe. Maybe in a way, in regards to kind of like the building bases, everything like that. And your miniaturized kids, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids films, stuff like that. So you got kind of insects, big attacking ladybugs, stuff like that. Bess, what do you think about it?
I'm a very big survival game fan, so this is something that I probably will play. It's more esque to Conan or Rust or games like that, where there's a lot of free building. State of Decay kind of locks you into certain areas when it comes to building. So this one seems much more free. You can just build wherever you want, however you want, and you have to defend and, you know, gather, just the standard survival things, except a little bit more toned down, you know, more open to kids, which is not a bad thing. Most of the survival games usually have a lot of PvP and blood and gore, so it seems like this one's more focused on PvE and just, you know, the general fun of trying to survive if bugs were the size of fucking gorillas. So I'm definitely probably gonna play it myself.
So is this more like a Fortnite Save the World kind of deal, or?
I could see it pushing along those lines. I mean, Save the World was very instant spaced, while this one looks like you have
Tower
your
defense
whole
as well.
open world, but I could see it crossbreeding. Conan mixed with Save the World, probably something like that.
Not really into survival games like that. I mean, never was a fan of Rust, never was a fan of DayZ, never was a fan of Fortnite Save the World. Don't know if it'll be my type of game. I might give it a shout if it's on the Game Pass. You know, that'll be interesting if we do like a 4-way game to see what it's like. But other than that, I don't see myself playing a game like that. I feel like it's targeting the younger generation. And the sort of the way it's played, you know, you play as kids and you're surviving. You're trying to survive against bugs in the back garden, and like nothing. And some from what I've seen, it's very there's no blood, there's no gore. You know, it's aimed for the younger generation, and that's okay. But I just don't see that being attractive to me in a game style and gameplay wise aspect.
But I'm pretty much the same. Really, I agree. I think the beauty of Game Pass, I guess, really is you could get to try these things out, and if it ends up being, do you know what? I didn't think it's appeals to me, but actually I really like this. So yeah, I hope that's the case. But I think it looked good visually. But yeah, ultimately I think I'm the same as you. Really, Spud from the camp. I'm just not.
Yeah, I think
if I never played it, I probably wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
Exactly. I think it's a game that we'll get together, we'll play it for a couple of days, and we'll move on with our life. It's definitely nothing serious. So.
All right, next one up, we have Avowed.
We have always known war. It forged our empire, turned heroes into queens and kings, and decimated our foes.
Which one?
Oh, was this the one we thought? Is this the VR thing? It looked like.
Oh yes, the Avowed.
Yeah.
Avowed was like the one where they fired the arrows and it went across, killed the skeleton, fell into the dark, and
And then he had
sitting there with a
magic
shield.
hand and
Yeah,
sword.
it kind of. I mean, it looked
Elder
interesting.
Scrolls-esque.
Yeah, it looked. Obviously, it wasn't actual gameplay or anything like that. There, it was just a cinematic. But
Yeah.
from what I've seen, it could be VR compatible, especially if you're doing symbols with one hand and fighting with the other. You know, I mean, it looked cool, but when they show more, it'll really give us a perspective on how it'll play. But again, it could be good.
And also, I thought it's an in-engine trailer, so they always look good in-engine trailers, really. But
Yeah.
it looks, if it's from my studio Obsidian, then okay, I'm interested. It looked like it might be VR. It could not be at all. It could be completely just how it looked, but because it did the whole made a point of showing both hands, it tends to be a VR marketing strategy. So I don't know, but it looks interesting. It looks like a Skyrim
also-
with Obsidian.
It's gonna say like Skyrim. You can do magic in one hand, sword in the other. You know, different things like that. So it definitely doesn't have to be locked to VR, but it's definitely a VR trend when you have those hand visuals.
I think relating to why we thought it was be more along VR is because even with Skyrim, you saw maybe down to the wrist. So like if you were sitting listening, you probably saw like this here, like the hands here. But with this, you saw the full arm, like you saw nearly down to the elbow, which gives the impression that you could stretch into the screen itself using VR.
I mean, we definitely know Obsidian can do like large open world RPGs, which I'm assuming that's what it's going to be. You know they can pull them off. You know they can do them. So it's just going to be a matter of kind of waiting and see what they do with it, really.
New Vegas was highly acclaimed for it, so I'm sure they'll do good things with it. So
This next one, I'm really excited for because I
Metroid?
love the first one so much. Hellblade: Senua's Saga. Sacrifice was so damn good.
I haven't completed.
I loved it. So I'm just really excited for it. It was one of those games that not only was it a good game, but for me, I did a bit of Unreal Engine 4 indie kind of side stuff a while back, and seeing what they did with the engine, they brought in this they put this I can't remember her name now. But basically it's like rig on her head, and they just like this new technology they used to basically put real time facial animation in a video game engine, and they did all this whole stuff. Now I think it's being used by quite a few studios now. I think they really sort of made it a staple in industry now for ongoing stuff. I think
that guy that was talking in the Halo Infinite trailer, the brute who was like right up in the he probably had that rig on.
Yeah, but like they had her on stage once for a live event. She was on stage wearing this thing and like doing stuff, and it would come out on the game engine as the character in a world all rendered in real time, and it was really impressive stuff. So
that's cool.
From a technical side, I was like, yeah, that's really cool. Anyway, so the game, really excited for it.
I was about to say, this is the downside to trailers though. Like, as much as like they look pretty, they don't really give much away. Like, there's not much we can talk about the game because we don't know anything about it. It looks pretty and the trailer looks nice, and that's kind of it. And it's like, okay, cool.
I mean, to be fair, I think
in the first one.
And I think the first one, from what I know of it, I never played it, but it was very cinematic to begin with. So I think a cinematic trailer is really nothing wrong with this type of style of game, because it does kind of match the game itself.
So from what I seen, it was it was a woman. Looked kind of like a zombie that was screaming, that had face makeup, and I could tell that. I seen that she looked angry. I don't know why, but.
Let me tell you, Spud. Senua is in the land of Norse mythology, and she has something called the rot on her hand. As you die,
spoilers. Spoilers.
This isn't a spoiler. This isn't a spoiler. It's a game mechanic that they show from the start. In the first game, the more you die, the more the rock grows, and if you die enough times, the rock gets to her neck and it kills her, and you have to start over. It's permadeath. But it's like a Dark Souls game in a Norse mythology, and it's really well done. It's really good.
So you could game over like 10 minutes before the end of the game, and have to start all over again?
Which I did twice. I died in the last boss fight twice in a row, and I had to start over, and I was furious. And it's probably one of the most complicated things about the game.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if that's a good thing. How long is the game?
I can't remember. It's been a while. It's probably a good 6 to 8 hours, maybe 10 hours, depending how slow you go.
That's not horrible, but at the same time, like if I'm committing 10 hours to a game and then I have to start all over because the game said so, I don't know if I'd be happy with that.
If you can't complete a game without dying less than 10 times, do you deserve to play that game? I think not. I think you should start again and learn to be better.
Spud, you couldn't play any game then. Like, come on. That wouldn't be fair to you.
Do you want to build a snowman? Let's go outside and play.
Beautiful singing voice. Beautiful.
So the next on the list is Psychonauts. This is kind of like in Kingdom Hearts territory, where the game kind of disappeared for 10 years, and now suddenly there's a fucking sequel. Jack Black is going to be in it as a main source. He was also in the first one, and it's kind of a game where you are, at its very essence, tripping balls. That's pretty much as straight as it gets.
Probably been a long time since you've had a visitor. I hope you don't mind pop-ins. Where are we?
Shh. It's a quiet place. Lost alone, neither skin nor bone. Just a thought is all I've got. Now my cover's blown. At the bottom of a lake, a frozen feeling. When my friends pulled me back up.
There's a lot of scenes where there's a lot of psychedelic colors going on, and you're a character who has some telekinetic powers, and you're trying to mess with this chaos around you and trying to progress with it. But the stories themselves are very, very fun. they're very engaging and interesting, and the character himself is very charismatic in a way, and it's definitely a fun kind of just casual platformer that you can just have a lot of fun with. Definitely very demanding on your eyeballs, but it's very fun nonetheless. I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's been a while. I'm hoping they don't jump off a cliff like a lot of these long-term sequels kind of tend to do, but we'll see how it goes.
It does look like someone tripped down the LSD stairs and hit every stair on the way down, and magically entered a world where there's hands on heads and weird gunk everywhere, and it's just like, it honestly looks like an LSD trip. And I'm
Which
excited.
is part of the appeal.
And I'm going to play the game and possibly take a trip of my own and see what it's like.
It looked like that bit in Doctor Strange, you know, when it's normal and then suddenly it's just that weird, wacky stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what? How am I seeing?
Yep.
Except the entire game, like so.
All right, now another one I'm really excited for: Stalker 2. I love Stalker. Call it pre-out. A couple of the expansions are called. I've forgotten now. I don't think I played the
Clear
expansion, actually.
Skies and Shadow of Chernobyl.
Yep.
Which those are the three.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked Stalker a lot.
That's all I was going to say. Okay. I was that's all I you can say. I like Stalker. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. It's coming out.
It's got a BR. It's
I like it
alright.
a lot. I'm sorry.
I was just about to say something. There's just probably more. I need more time to compose my thoughts.
I need more time to compose his thoughts. Listen, it looked amazing. Stalker. Oh, Stalker Universe. Just awesome. Just awesome. No, Abyss. It's not Metro, okay? Don't throw it in there. Don't compare it to Metro. It's not.
They didn't release gameplay footage. It could.
Listen. Okay, Stalker 2 is most likely going to be fantastic. Especially if it takes after Stalker, the first 3 Stalkers. Then it'll be phenomenal. They just need to, honestly, add more story and update the graphics and then throw it at me and I will lick it all up. I will just eat it. Give me co-op. Give me 4-player
co-op would be great, that's for sure. One thing that I want to comment on is that Stalker started on the PC platform, and it was a PC exclusive. So it's interesting to see that Microsoft kind of gobbled it up. I'm sure they offered something to the Stalker developers, money. For the very first time, Stalker will be on a console. So they definitely built off a lot of hype here and nostalgia. There was no gameplay, sadly, but I'm sure it was in game engine again. It looked beautiful especially compared to the old Stalkers. The system was aging, and it's definitely interesting to see what'll come next. One thing I really loved about the original Stalkers was they had a very complex AI system, where the world basically lived on its own. So now with the progression of technology, I'm super eager to see what they do with that and how vibrant and how alive the world is.
In regards to you said about the gameplay in the trailer, I don't disagree with you, but I think new IPs for me, they should show gameplay because we have no idea what to expect.
I agree.
Otherwise. We'll get away with it, right? Because we already know. It's simply like the first, right? We know exactly what to expect, and it's cool to see. Yes, there's another one coming, and it's a build on whatever it did before, but better in every way. So that for me, everything about Stalker 1 I loved. It was unforgiving. It was challenging. It was hard. It was dark. It was scary at times. It was great. I loved it. So bring on another one. After years of seeing nothing, and the website didn't even get an update or change. The website didn't even change. I've been checking the website every now and again. Nothing's changed in years. So I'm so glad to finally see something's coming, hopefully soon.
Yeah. It was more of a big surprise to actually see it at an Xbox event. To see Stalker 2 being displayed on an Xbox event was just like, what? You don't go to Xbox expecting Stalker, especially with a history of Stalker being only on PC. So to see that Xbox, that's me. I want that, all and around me, please.
All right, so the next game on the list was Warhammer 40k, Dark Tide. I am a pretty big fan of the 40K franchise in general and the fantasy setting. This one gave me feels where we will probably be in the Imperial footsteps. So to see you as a standard grunt will be something nice. And on the flip side of that, it gave me very much Warhammer Vermintide type feels. I feel like this is going to be a game like Left 4 Dead, like Warhammer Vermintide, where you kind of have you and your 4 buddies, and you're going to charge through a map, slaughtering through as much as you can to try and get to the end, which is a very fun gameplay loop for me. So I'm definitely on board with this if that is what it is. At the end of the day, it was just a teaser trailer, so we have no concrete evidence that that is what it's going to be. This is just speculation at our point, but that's the feels I'm getting, and I'm hoping that that's the kind of trend that they push with.
Jump on what Abyss said also. It looks very dark, so I'm thinking with a flashlight flickering that it may be playing on the fact that it could be sort of like a more dark and horror themed, but Left 4 Dead. You know, so it's like you're making your way through the map, but there's also a lot of hard shit where if you take a wrong turn, you may die, and that may shoot yourself at the same time. So I'm interested. I'll definitely be there for it.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, see, I played Vermintide, and I thought it was okay, but the problem was, all it made me do was think I want another Left 4 Dead. Like, I'm not hugely invested.
It's very much different.
So
it's melee. Left 4 Dead's guns.
Yeah,
This is like Left 4 Dead.
You know, I'm hoping it's got the Left 4 Dead style, but it's a bit more on a larger scale. You know, I want to see it, like as Bud said and yourself a bit. I want to see like a darker, more gritty, almost like Doom kind of level of overwhelming enemies coming in. Like you're moving big area to big area rather than narrow. And I want to see a bit more of an open space almost, and it's a bit more like so you can take multiple paths rather than a set path. And if you pick the wrong one, you might get more problems than you might otherwise. And it's a bit more replayable, it's a bit more random, you know. That sounds kind of cool to me, but I don't know what it really is to me yet. But it looked darker and more gritty, which is a bit more up my street, to be fair.
Multiple paths is good, but I don't particularly want it to just be large. Like, I like tight, more claustrophobic type areas, especially when it comes to horror type games, and especially when it comes to horde type games, because it's very, very panic inducing and it really gets your blood flowing and things can get a lot more difficult. So Vermintide did have a lot of both, where sometimes you were in these big open fields and other times you were in these tiny urban hallways, and I think that they should definitely build upon having both of those if it is that type of game.
Next we saw, and brace yourself because this is a huge announcement, this is going to blow your minds, you would never have seen this coming. It's what we've all been waiting for. It's Tetris. We've really not got much to say other than it's Tetris on Xbox.
It's got co-op.
I think you can play it with 4 people by the looks of things.
One map, 4 players. Ooh.
Never have Xbox now and play Tetris.
Never have I ever wanted to play a game of Tetris with more than one person so that someone else can F me up and ruin my game. Never have I ever thought, do you know what would be really enticing? To have someone put a block somewhere where it shouldn't be. No. Just no. Why? Who asked for Tetris?
Because
where was the Reddit forum said,
no.
We want Tetris? The Gunk was the next game on the list. It kind of looks like the game The Hob, if anyone's ever played that. It's sort of playing like a small character in an open world where you traverse to navigate puzzles and find the story.
Approaching orbit. Scan's a no-go. Sure you want to drop here?
Hell yeah. Already lacing up my boots back here.
What we got? Another good-for-nothing space rock?
Wow. Hold on, let me check.
In my opinion, it looks really good. If anyone's played The Hob, it's really, really interesting story to get into, and having something like that would be really interesting, especially with the gunk, as they call it. I assumed maybe it's a planet, or that's the stuff that they're sucking up through the glove that's used as a fuel source, or upgrade materials. I'm not quite sure, but it looks very interesting on what it offers.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a more more chill platformer type game with you know, some possibly some crafting or something with this gunk or whatever it may be. We don't really know what it's used for. Seems like a chill game that I might play, you know, if it's on Game Pass for to just burn some time. Not super interested in it, but we'll see what it's about.
Yeah, it definitely looks like. I think the gunk is more kind of a bit like like a diseasey style stuff that I think because when she went to touch it or something, it seemed to hurt. So I don't know if it's like some sort of like rot on the land or something like can be used for craft and stuff like that. But I guess we'll see more when more's revealed about the game. But it could be quite interesting. Bit like Ratchet and Clank maybe by the looks of the art style and stuff. A little bit.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought, like an action and adventure kind of world platforming kind of Ratchet and Clank style thing. It's kind of a recurring theme already for this showcase is that we don't really know what the game is.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not, trailers are cool, but I think they always overlook gameplay, and I don't know why, because it's the most important thing, because just knowing how we play the game is so important, and I don't think they seem to grasp this a lot of the time for some reasons. But they're scared to show it, because again, it doesn't look as cinematically cool, but we're not here to see cinematic trailers. They're nice, but that's not what gets us to buy the game for most cases, I'd say, unless it's something we really know the gameplay already. So but yeah, it looked like a Ratchet Clank kind of style thing. Looks kind of cool. I like the art style, but maybe it would be cool if it's just called Gunk. I don't know if I go to, you know, if you're a kid and you're buying an Xbox, you go, hey, have you played the Gunk? I don't know. Hey, have you played Gunk? It's got a different ring to it now. You know what I'm saying? I dropped the Y. It's cooler, you know what I'm saying?
Drop the.
So did you play Gunk at the weekend? Yeah, man, I got my Gunk on. Oh, God, that sounds awful.
Yeah, don't do that.
This next one looks really exciting for me. The Medium.
I too am interested in this one.
It all starts with a dead girl. A forest. The moon. Scent of pines.
I think it's one of my favorites I've seen.
I'm interested to see what they do with this. They pushed a big thing with their dual universe type concept, where both sides of the world are being rendered at the same time. I'm assuming there's some way that you can switch from one to the other on the fly or something like that, much like Titanfall with its time traveling device, and you switch from one world to the other, and it's seamlessly integrated where you were with how things were interacting in that world. Very interesting concept, except we're pushing it into a more horror style type game. So she saw demons and such in the darker world while they weren't actually present in the actual real world. I want to see how that ties into the gameplay and the mechanics. Definitely very interested to see it.
I personally don't think that it'll be a switch between either in hell, for example, or in the area that you're in. I think it'll be one and the same, where you'll activate your power and the screen will split, and you'll have both dimensions at the same time, where you have to make your way through obstacles of one in one world and one in the other, while keeping the counter where they're going. So you'll have enemies or people or whatever that is following you or trying to find you, and you maneuver through one area while not trying to get caught in the next, but at the same time. And that'll add a lot of gameplay aspect where you have to really plan where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. So I think it'll be very interesting if it does lead down the line.
Potentially with some sort of power meter, like Outcast with its battery or something like that, maybe. It's possible.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a massive lover of horror games anyway, so it didn't massively appeal to me, but I have gotten into them a bit more, and I think, again, what Spud was saying is if they do the kind of the split instead, or even like the flip between the two, it could be quite an interesting mechanic for a game. Probably we want to, we'll just double check, see what it's like anyway, from the comfort of my
I think for me,
sofa.
I don't like being scared. I'm a bit of a wuss, but I've come around. I've got a lot better ideas. Like I was playing, Outlast 1 on stream and stuff for Halloween and stuff. I've really come around because I think one thing horror games do really well, and I think there's some of the best in the industry for it, naturally they have to be, is the immersion. you get so engrossed and so immersed in the world that you forget what's going on in real. It just completely takes your focus, and I think a horror game that does that really well is it just takes gaming to a whole new level. It's a whole different experience you don't get in any other industry. So I think I'm really coming around to them. I'm really starting to enjoy them now. Not so much getting my pants scared off of me, but just that feeling of immersion and being completely engrossed in something that they've done, both in terms of visuals, sound, design, and suspense. It's just, I think they really complement gaming.
And I'm interested in the story
really well.
I'm interested in how this story is going to build, very, very much so. The concepts of it seemed interesting. I'm assuming that you are the medium, of course. Could be wrong, but that's just the feeling I got from being able to use this power that shifts into both universes. Why does she have this power? Why are things happening? Why are there demons? Why is there this hell? I'm interested in how this world is progressing.
Right, now we saw apparently one of the biggest FPS games in the world that none of us have ever heard of until very recently. So Crossfire X, it seems to be getting a lot of buzz in the western side of the world these days, but it seems to be apparently only be an eastern region game for the longest period of time. I'd never even heard of it until about a year ago, at last E3 I think it was. And they're like, it's the biggest FPS ever. And I was like, what is this? I've never seen this before.
Luis Torres, I've seen your future. Global risk is death of the weapon you will become.
Destiny chose me to save this world.
So that was weird. I guess by population they're not wrong. But Crossfire X, do we have anything? Anybody excited for that?
I mean,
looks like another CS:GO. Like
I'm not sure about that.
Call of Duty
I'm not.
style.
I was about to say it looked more like it played more like Call of Duty than it did CS:GO.
I know it plays like CS:GO because it was a competitor built to compete with CS:GO. Not CS:GO exactly, but the CS, the Counter-Strike's games itself. But to add more of a Call of Duty type style.
So I don't know if this is a sequel or not. I didn't know about X, but I did play the original Crossfire. It's definitely a fast CS:GO type time to kill with a kind of Call of Duty type gunplay. But I mean, like we said, this is mostly an Eastern type game. So I don't know what they're planning on doing to try and integrate the Western community into it, but we'll see, I guess.
Who knows, might be the next big shooter. Might be rival to Call of Duty maybe next year, who knows. But I mean, it visually looked okay, so we'll see, I guess. Right, go. Announce the next one. Tell us the last thing we saw, which got all of our pants bursting at the seams.
Except Spud.
Fable is being released. Sorry, I had to do a spotlight.
So, the last game that Microsoft decided to show at their showcase, probably the biggest reveal that was rumored as well for the last couple of days, has been floating around, is Fable.
Yes!
The re-release of Fable.
Jenkins.
By Playground Games.
I know it's like
I'm like glue. I'm like glue. I'm talking about it, and I'm just like I just
Jenkins,
can't.
you're a machine, man.
Fable.
The next thing they announced was Fable. No, where's the next thing they released? Fable.
Fable.
Just
yes.
Right. So the last game that we had for the Microsoft Gaming Showcase was Fable. One of the biggest rumors that was going around in the last couple of days as well. A lot of people did speculate that this would be kind of shown today, but there's not been really any rumors since what? How long's it been since the third one?
Yes.
Years? How many years? Like, what, 8 years?
Yeah.
For the chair! For the chair! Fable!
The world is filled with stories of legendary heroes and treacherous villains, of fantastical creatures and wondrous places where nature and magic live in perfect harmony.
Okay, so Fable. Yeah! Fable. Yeah! Is coming. Now we know Playground Games have got it because Microsoft shut down Lionhead Studios after making them make Fable Heroes, which was a disaster and never saw light of day except for a closed beta.
Legends.
Sorry, that's it. Fable Legends. I can't remember the name. It was that unappealing. So after they made them, after somebody decided they should do that with the studio and then closed them, they've now made Playground Games. They gave Playground Games the opportunity to work with Fable. Now they made Forza. Are they the best equipped to handle Fable? They do big open worlds in Forza, so maybe that will help in this case. But I think there's a bit of worry out there, isn't there? I think amongst a lot of gamers whether they can handle the game in the best way.
It's the humour. The humour is very unique, and that was a bit of a worry. But the trailer did kind of set my mind at ease, where it was all a nice trailer. It's all going a bit nicely, and then all of a sudden the fairy just gets eaten by the toad or the frog, whichever it was.
Maybe.
I mean, it's. I'm excited for sure. If anyone else, this is a trailer that definitely built heavily off the nostalgia of previous titles. There wasn't any gameplay. It was straight up teaser trailer. They tried to throw in some of the comedic relief that Fable is very much known for. A lot of satire and sarcasm with the previous Fable titles. But the gameplay is still extremely important for me. Fable has always been a game of choice and of growth in the world and developing your character, and I don't want to see that in any way hurt by this new developer that is taking over for it. So they've got some big shoes to step into, especially when considering Fable 1 and 2. 3 kind of started to decline, and we don't talk about Legends. But I'm eager for them to get back to the roots of this game, because it was a very, very fabled franchise for me. So...
Story as well. Story is very, very important. The first, second, and even the third to an extent was a very good story, and I think they just need to nail that, and I am worried a little bit that they won't, but I don't know if they've done anything else besides the Forza series. I don't know off the top of my head. Without looking into it.
Jack is still my favorite villain in the series, and I want them to get back to a very charismatic and fun villain like they had back then. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I love Fable 2. Fable 3 I thought was okay, but I loved Fable 2. Loved it. It was so good. It was probably one of the best games you can get on 360, I think, even to this day. It really was good. So I'm hella excited to see it come back. I mean, I was saying, me and Chicks actually had a chat the other day actually about this, and although Playground Games obviously being new to the series, now they're obviously going to come in and try and be as faithful to the series as they can. They know they've got some big shoes to step into, and I think this could be a disaster, or it could be even better, because I think a lot of times studios that make a game like Fable will make something, they need to make a sequel, then they've got time, budget, so they don't innovate too much because they haven't got the time, so they kind of stick with a recipe and they never really change it. It'd be good to see a studio come in, take those shoes and say, okay, this is what we need to make, but now let's make it in our complete own way, add our own DNA to it, and here's what we didn't like about it, here's what we like about RPGs but never got a chance to make, now we can. So they could have some real good fun with this, and I'm really interested to see what they do with this. I think it could be great.
Same. Yeah, I think out of all of them, and just it's dumb how much a teaser can do it, but I think that's probably the one I'm most excited for out of all of what we've seen today, that and Halo.
Okay, so we've had a discussion about all the individual games so far, but what do we think of the event overall on the whole? I thought it was better than PlayStation. So PlayStation 4 was much better than Xbox for me last generation, but PlayStation really dropped the ball, I think, on their last sort of showcase, because they didn't really show us anything that people really wanted to see. It kind of just felt like they were throwing a lot of randomness and like, hey, we're supporting indie developers and here's some kids games, but it didn't really seem like we had many major big blockbusters like Xbox. I think Xbox did a much better job of showing us. Last generation we didn't have much, but this time we're stepping up and here's what we're going to give you, and that's only a taste of it, and I thought it was really impressive. I think they did a much better job than PlayStation.
I mean, yeah, I think it was, the Xbox one was nice because it was just pretty much to the point. It was like, here's Halo, here's a little bit of talking about it, here's the next trailer, and it's just kind of trailer upon trailer. It wasn't like, there was no kind of fancy things with it or interviews. It was just to the point. This is what you can expect and have fun with it, kind of thing. In terms of games that they showed, the Xbox One knocked Sony's out of the park this time.
Which is what we're getting to at this point. These consoles are right around the corner, a couple months away. We want to know what we're getting out of these consoles. Why should we buy them? So I think Xbox did a very good job of presenting that and what potential that included with the console. Of course, there's always the factor that you can play these on PC, so that's a big hurting point for console sales in general when it comes to Xbox. But at the same time, there's still a lot of hype towards Xbox titles and such. So I'm excited for a lot of these. Definitely see where they go.
I've just realised Fable PC.
Fable's already on PC, fool.
4K 60 FPS. Yeah, you can play the original Fables
Yeah, but
on
not
PC,
Fable 2
They're on Game
or
Pass.
3.
I'll probably not buy an Xbox Series X, whatever you call it. I'll probably buy Game Pass for most of the games that come out, but I don't see myself buying an Xbox. I don't think it compelled me enough to say, "Oh look, I want more teraflops." You know?
Had you?
If I can play it on PC, I'll play it.
Had you not had a PC, would it change that decision?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd probably buy an Xbox.
It's not what they weren't pushing console buys. They were pushing their games are better quality. Look what we have. You should come to Microsoft.
They were pushing Game Pass, weren't they?
Oh yeah, but I'm already on Xbox. I'm already on Microsoft. You know.
All right, well that's it from us today for the Xbox Games Showcase event.
Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed.
And comment down below what you're looking forward to in the coming months and years for the Xbox games as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, morning, evening. See you all in the next one. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Bye-bye.